I have to show you the Brian Eastman honorary binder. It's all in here. It's all in here, duly organized with little dividers.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So here we are. We're all ready to roll here, Brian.
Okay. Excellent.
We are ready to roll.
Start with a general statement. I am moving to fairly consistently using two words together: LIIFT, untherapy.
Oh, okay.
A couple reasons. I don't know what it's like in North Carolina. In Ohio, if you use the wrong word, someone out to get you can have you accused of a felony for practicing illegal medicine.
Ah.
You cannot use the word therapy. You cannot use the word treatment. In psychological issues, you cannot use any word that's identified in DSM-4. You cannot use the word depression. You cannot use the word anxiety because they are identified as conditions. You can use the word anxious. You can say someone's depressed. You cannot use PTSD, but you can talk about after traumatic or post-traumatic
oh, how interesting.
Emotional damage. So I tell all of my practitioners who are in other states, check and find out what your limitations are. I personally have joined and have been a member of what's called Legal Shield, so that I have unlimited access to one of the largest legal firms in the state of Ohio. It's only like nowadays it's about $29 a month. That's well worth the investment.
Yeah, a friend of mine is who's a Reiki practitioner. She's all hep on that. Yeah, she is.
What they say is that, or the American Bar says that the average person living in the United States, there's probably 6 times a year they really ought to talk to a lawyer about something. Yeah. And,
what a world! What a world!
But in this case, I've used it to guide me so we didn't get into trouble as we developed. And I did check about untherapy, and yes, you can use the word client, and you can use the word session, but you don't use the word therapy. You can't use the word healing. So it's really bizarre.
Oh,
so yes, but I checked about untherapy, and the lawyer said, well, they don't want you to be a therapist or claim it, and you're just telling everybody you're not. They should be very happy.
It should be good.
Now, the other benefit I've discovered, and what I was looking for originally, how can you know the idea of a 30-second elevator speech? What do? Well, there's never been a real easy way to communicate what LIIFT was until I started using the word untherapy. Then they get it. And then I simply give nuances.
That's good. That's good.
And so LIIFT untherapy, in other words, you don't have to talk about what happened, you don't have to remember it, you don't have to re-experience it, we simply wipe out the damage, put something better in.
Done. Yeah, call it done. Yeah, love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right.
Okay, so the basic structure, and until you have it down, I'll say in memory or in your gut, you're going to want to use this as you follow the process. Because LIIFT strength is not so much in the concept, though there is nobody else who has the concept that we use of software. The strength is that it's a very simple process to make use of the concepts behind it.
Okay.
You don't have to be good at interpreting. You don't have to be good at intuiting. One of the things I see with, I think, every other, I'll say virtually every other process, is either there's no holistic concept behind it, or you are dependent on the practitioner to be able to figure out what to have you heal next. And what I wanted to do with LIIFT was have something where the only thing the practitioner needed to be good at was asking questions and following the process.
Okay.
So when we're done with the session today, in all probability, you'll be ready to start practicing on one of the zones. and you'll be seeing miracles happen.
Okay.
Yeah, when I do 2-day seminars, like a Saturday and a Saturday, um, after the first day, everyone's been through the run, the whole set of zones. I tell them to go home and practice, and when they come back the next day, they're higher. Or the next Saturday, they're higher than kites because they've already seen miracles.
Oh yeah, sure.
Now, because we're doing this in sort of 2-hour sets, we're going to be more focused, but you can still go out and use that zone in your practicing, and you'll see miracles.
Excellent.
Okay, so you have the basic structure as a reference point. You will also see on the 7 healing zones the same basic thing down here. So you have two different cue sets.
Okay.
And don't worry about grokking it at the moment. I'm just pointing out that as you're working, you have this cheat sheet.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, now going to the 7 healing zones chart, you'll notice that it's laminated.
Yep.
And that's because I learned early on that after you've done a session or 2 with people in a day, you start losing track of where you are. And so it's really easy to put their name up here so you remember what name when you're leading them or what next. And down here, noting which pieces are going to be healed and circling what area you're doing the work on. And then when you're done with that particular healing, you erase it and you start on the next one.
Okay.
Okay. Now you also got, and we'll deal with what it is down the road, a thing called work the circle.
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
And don't worry about it for the time being. At some point, you'll end up needing to know work the circle, and then we'll deal with it.
Okay.
You also should have received a life's burdens
Yeah, got that.
pad.
Yep, got that.
And the upper limits of good pad.
Yep, got that too.
Okay.
Yep.
If I was really on the ball, I also gave you a money test pad.
You sent me 3 agreements to heal pads.
Oops.
One,
That's
sorry,
fine.
I withdraw. I got 2 agreement to heal pads. One, read this to get the most from your LIIFT healing session
Yep.
pad. I got
Did you get a pad or a set of papers?
I got a session notes and homework pad, and I got upper limits of good pad and a life's burdens pad, but no money pad.
Okay, no money pad. Okay, did you get one that's a disclaimer pad that you use when you're doing a demo on someone?
I'm sorry.
A disclaimer pad. It has all sorts of nice weasel words.
I don't have a disclaimer pad.
Okay.
But you know what? I don't work in person. So I think if I just have a PDF of that, that will be fine.
Okay.
Most of this stuff, I don't really need a pad because I don't work in person.
Well, actually, you want the pad because like life's burdens, you're going to be writing it down.
No, I write things down anyway. I have my own way of doing stuff like that. So some of it, yes, but anything that the client would want to see,
Got it.
PDF is fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'll send you a PDF on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll also send you a PDF on the others, the upper limit.
Yeah, that would be fine.
And,
I think. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with your whole methodology yet.
nope.
To
don't
see
take-
that.
But you're making a valid point. So I'll see that you have the PDFs.
Yeah, that would be great.
Now, when I do it, I still have to do this myself and keep a file. This is one thing I do keep on file. Because
that makes total sense. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, some of those would be great.
and also the read this. Okay, very good. So let's go to the 7 healing zones chart.
Okay.
This, as you've recognized, I think, from the work that you and I've done, is the core. The basic issue is how do you get the subconscious, which is a computer, it knows on and off, that's all. to tell you what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And the easiest way is to use what we call mind-body communication, and a part of which is muscle testing,
Yeah.
to get a yes/no answer. And then we had to figure out how to facilitate his telling us what to do next. And that's why this exists. Because you can go down, is it in zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4? Okay, which line in zone 3? Line 1, line 2, line 3. Okay, then is it this, or this, to get to the right place, which then leads you to the book to get the words that you need. So, yeah, simple and efficient. Yeah, if you can get that, Phyllis, please. So, what I want to do is take a minute here and introduce you to the pieces of you, to make sure that we're on the same page with that, because that's fairly important.
Let me just stop you here for a second. So the first round of muscle testing that I'm doing is I'm saying, are we starting in zone 1?
Oh, you're going to see that in a minute. I've got Phyllis here, and you and I are going to walk through, and she's going to be our guinea pig.
So is that what we're doing though? It's in zone 1? That's how you start? It's in zone 1, or it's in zone?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay, all right, fine.
For each healing, you figure out the zone.
Which zone we start in. Okay, gotcha. Okay, all right.
Okay. So let's talk about which pieces are being healed.
Mm-hmm.
There's the self, which is the person I see in front of me.
Okay.
The age, the apparent sex, and all that good stuff. There's the little ones. This is often confused with the inner child, and this is not the inner child. These are the pieces of your clients that got slivered off when some distressing event happened and the client was not permitted to process it and be done with it. Now, I'm going to tell stories as we go along. I'm telling you the stories for you to remember, because you can use them in your presentations and explanations up to the point that you end up with your own stories. The reason that stories are important is, it's built on a study that was done in sales. They did sales presentations, some of which were facts and figures, nice pretty stuff, and some of them were stories. 3 days later, they went back to the people they'd done the presentations to and asked them to recap. The ones who got the facts, the figures, the good hard data, and pretty pictures could remember, I believe it was 18% of what they'd been told. The ones with the stories remembered 63%. So in your work with your clients, the more you can tell stories to help them understand what's going on, and the more as you do your work, you're able to tell your own stories of people who've dealt with something similar that they ideally with a positive outcome, the better off. Yeah,
got it.
Okay, so for the little one,
we're on the same page with that, Brian. I do that a lot.
Okay.
I do that a lot.
I'm making sure we're covering all the ground.
No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate
that.
So
for the little ones, the example I use, 3-year-old little girl, it's her birthday. She's dressed in a nice filling new dress, new patent leather shoes. The family's gone out to the park for a picnic. She's running through the grass. The shoes being new were slippery, so this falls down, goes boom. Now she's close enough to the ground, it doesn't hurt her. But she notices the family's laughing at the fat fall, and now she feels humiliated, and she starts to sniffle a bit and whimper. And father, and I'm sure he's doing the best he knows how to do, comes, picks her up a bit roughly, says, "Big girls don't cry, shut up." Now, 50 years later, I end up with a 53-year-old client who's coming to me because she's realized anytime something mildly embarrassing or humiliating happens, she melts down like a little girl. And so when we heal that 3-year-old, whatever piece got stuck at that age, whatever piece of that personality, when we do that healing, that lost piece of my client's personality grows up and joins her at 63. And she becomes more in-depth, more whole being.
Right. Okay. So my version of that is the younger version of you. That's how I posit it. And it could be a 3-year-old, it could be a 5-year-old, whatever. But the 3-year-old version of you, the 5-year-old version of you, whatever. and then we bring them together. I call it giving your 3-year-old the update memo.
That works.
You know, that grown-up Susie is in charge now. This is not a problem anymore. So, okay, so now I understand your little ones are my younger version of you.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, there's probably some technical difference because we don't talk about.
Doesn't feel like there is. Doesn't feel like there is. It feels like we're talking about.
Simply, once my client has been healed of this damage, the rest happens automatically.
Yeah.
And then there's birth and family ancestors. We used to call it blood ancestors until I realized that it was more than just the blood lineage that contributed. Think transactional analysis, which this is based on. They talk about life scripts and family scripting, and that. So if you think back even 100 years, there were an awful lot of kids who went through 2 or 3 or 4 mothers because each mother that the father married died in childbirth.
Yeah.
But that was so 3 or 4 or 5 different sets of family scripting, family stories that got inculcated into that family.
Yep.
And if they were wealthy, maybe they had a nanny or a couple of nannies. The hired help, they all contributed to what the kid was being taught as the scripting. Grandmothers, aunts, uncles, anybody who had any influence, including other kids.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And normally we don't need to know the who, aside from the more general somebody in the family scripting. Once in a rare while, you'll get the inkling that maybe the client should know more about it. And normally that's not the case.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. And then soul ancestors, for people who believe in reincarnation, is the bodies you inhabited before. Now, the first person I worked with was a Catholic priest. Oh, I can't believe in that. It's against our theology. That's fine. Just think of it as a really funny computer game or a computer algorithm. Yeah, he was willing to do that. It worked just fine.
Interesting.
Okay, and then we have attachment spirits or entities, and we do not try to define who they are or what they are, aside from their other energetic beings that somehow or other find themselves around you to get healed. Though I have tentatively decided that spirits, more often than not, actually lived here and now have moved to the other side. And in one case in particular, I remember I was dealing with a widower who had cared for his wife during her last year in decline and was in deep, deep mourning. And you know how when we test safety, or I test the calibration, my name is Joe, my name is Sally. Well, my name is Joe, my name is Ruth, and I've never used that name before. Ruth, where'd you get that name? He said. I don't know, I've never used it before. That's the name of my late wife. I was her sole caregiver for her last year. Oh, is Ruth here? Yes. Ruth, do you need some healing? Yes. So, healed her spirit, and she was able to move on to whatever happened next. And for him, it went from deep grief to this just incredible sense of peace.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Sure, I can imagine.
Okay. And then finally, there's H, others than unnamed. You may remember in your history that the Romans built a temple to the unknown God. So we have here anything that we have no name, awareness of, cognition of that may need to be healed. Doesn't happen often, does sometimes happen.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Okay, and so as we work, when you're working with a client, usually the first time with a client, we'll call it the introductory session, I stay away from the pieces. We just heal them going straight down the list, safe and appropriate for the client to be healed for this, blah, 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 blah. But then the second time, and I make it clear to them, we're keeping it simple so they can see the process. The second time, then we start with the little ones. But by then they've already begun to understand the process. Usually, second or third session with a client, they've got it, and they'll catch you when you make a mistake, which means now they're owning their own healing. They're comprehending. It makes sense to them. I had a 17-year-old who came to me, his mother brought him. I didn't know at the time that he was court ordered to get the psychologist. And I saw him the second or third time he was in the bathroom afterward, and his mother expressed amazement that she'd taken him to 3 counselors before me, and he'd walked out of the first session halfway through in every one of them. So when he came back the next time at the appropriate time, I said, your mom tells me that you walked out on some other counselors who saw me before me. How come you're still here? And he said, well, they were full of shit. This I understand. The very logic of it. Those people who've had difficulty with other things. And of course, the other part is they experience change so fast. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to have Phyllis come in, and I'm going to show you setting the baseline, first of all, because that's one of the things that I think LIIFT has that's unique. So that at the end of the session, the first session, even if the client isn't seeing it or experiencing it personally yet, they can look at the numbers and see the numbers have changed. And then we'll do some actual healings, and I'll work with you as you tell us what to do next, and we figure it all out.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Okay. Now, with the training manual, there's 2 parts. The front part has the different kinds of healing options and the definition of the various sorts of healings. What I want you to be aware is that the second half is what we call structural education.
Yeah, I got that. I read it. I read this.
Okay, cool. So the reason I created that was the realization that once we, for instance, helped a client heal from being terrified of talking to strangers, but they still don't have the knowledge of how you move from strangeness, the steps of relationship that you take, the negotiating of going from stranger to not an acquaintance to rough friendship to closer friendship to intimacy and so forth.
Right.
That's required. So they don't have the skill set. And so the back section gives information like on the Karpman drama triangle, because a significant number of the people that you work with, at least with LIIFT, are coming from dysfunctional alcoholic or other situations where the triangle is the only way that they're used to seeing interaction.
Yeah.
And so to help them understand it and then see it, I actually will sometimes say, okay, now that we've talked about it, and I actually have a story about Martha and John and their daughter Sally. It's a great example, and I'll in another session, I have no doubt I'll be telling you. Now I want you, till we get together again, watch interactions with people and see how many of them are playing some version of persecutor, victim, and rescuer. And that helps them have the awareness that then can help them move off it or stay off it.
Yeah. Interesting.
And there's also context for things like NAMI, or there's the descriptions of common characteristics developed by Alcoholics Anonymous. So a lot of reference point here, even I think RAIN, places that people can turn to in an emergency or to help someone who is being abused or things like that. A lot of reference material. Okay, let me go find Phyllis, and then let us do some healings, and we'll talk about the process as we go through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start as if Phyllis is a brand new client.
Okay.
And we're doing more or less an introductory session.
Okay.
So you can see how you work with the baseline.
Okay.
Now, I'll say while we're waiting for her to arrive, that when we do things like the baseline, usually the first time we do it at the start, and then we do it at the close so they can see the change. And if it were in person, I'd hand it to them. Otherwise, I stick it in the file here. And then the second time, we pull it out and see how they change, because the time between ferments, just as we work until the subconscious says, okay, I've had enough. Well, then they can actually see that the subconscious is getting used to it, because now the numbers are even better. Yeah. But usually after the second or third session, the people just don't care anymore. They're seeing the changes. They don't need this for them to feel.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But in the meantime, it's wonderful for helping them see the change, and it sets, in terms of marketing, it sets us apart from any other event that I know. This is Liz.
Hi, Liz.
This is
Good to
Phyllis.
see you.
hi Phyllis.
Hi.
So you're his
So,
partner in crime?
Huh?
Are you Brian's partner in crime?
If you want to call it that.
I am lucky enough to have someone who walks similar lives with me, spiritually and in terms of a commitment to leaving the world a better place. Uh, I will also say that both of us came from dysfunctional families, so we worked hard to get here. And that's one thing I honor about her, is that she'd come in and say, "We got a problem here, let's fix it." And we go see one of the TA people who is still around, they're gone now, and we get it fixed.
Let's go on.
And in sexual education, one thing I talk about to couples who are together or getting married is find somebody you can see once a month, whether you think you need it or not, for at least the first year or two, to catch any weeds when they're just sprouts.
Yeah,
And Phyllis and I were in our 25th year now, and our goal is still once a year to see somebody, whether we think we need it or not, just in case there's a sprout.
yeah,
Again, some things I'm sharing with you because they're useful to use in your practice. With you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's kind of
Okay.
like going to the dentist,
Yep.
those annual checkups at least.
Now you'll notice that Phyllis uses this form of test. In our videos we show this form as ideal, but many people prefer this ultimately because they don't get so tired. We are using muscle testing a lot, and this does not need to be crunch muscle testing like I see most chiropractors do. My model is a chiropractor who just used a finger or two fingers, and my dentist who just touches barely with the tip of his finger and can tell the difference.
Yeah, I teach I did a video for clients on how to do it on themselves. So there's the ring thing. They call it. I have my Spanish client calls it mi pistola. This one here, and then there's this one.
Yeah.
For the ones that I teach people to do on themselves because it's just convenient. And then the last one is the flick. You just hold it like that.
And I'm the flick. However, I learned early on that I don't do just like that because of the implications. So,
Careful.
we actually use it if we're at a natural food store looking to check out a particular supplement, for instance.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I do it at the grocery store. And then I teach them the full body one too, holding food next to their body and see which way it goes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do have videos to show all that.
Yeah, I do.
So, first thing I do is I explain the whole concept of I explain that these are like rocks in your knapsack. Any unresolved distress, speaking generally, is another rock in your knapsack you're carrying around. It's a parasitical existence that's tapping your energy. And what we're looking, ideally, every one of these 17 different emotional distresses would be 0 in total.
Okay.
0 to 50 in my figuring, we're cool. Anything over 50 needs to get healed. Highest I've ever had, and here I'm telling a story, but this is what I explained. I was testing a fellow early on. He tested for trauma residual number 2, 995,000. That's the most I've ever seen.
Mm.
As soon as we hit that, he paused for me and says, "Yeah, from 2 to 5, I experienced," and I don't remember his word. I'll use the word excruciating abuse. He had come to me because he was failing in his chosen profession as a salesman. He was afraid of being fired. And so we worked together doing general healings, the stuff that LIIFT does, over 6 months or so. And by the time we finished, the last time I tested for trauma residual, we had him down to 40.
Wow.
We were selling so much by then that the company had moved him to a larger office and added several staff members to serve him. Yes, exactly. So I explained that to my clients, and then I say, before we start, let's find out what some of the highest numbers you have are. And that's what we're going to do with Phyllis. So uh, first thing I'm going to ask is does Phyllis have any of these life burdens that are over 500,000? And the answer is yes. Okay, please show us which ones are over 500,000. Number one, number two, number three, 4, 5. Is there anything 6 through 10 that is over 500,000? Yes. Okay. Is it 6? Yes. 7? No. 8? No. 9? Yes. 10? No. How about 11 through 14? Is there anything there? No. Okay. How about 15? Yes. 16? Yes. 17? Yes. So we have a bunch of them. And a general note here, number 8, shame. If it's a female who is shamed, I have less data for male. You should make the assumption that probably there has been some sort of molestation or abuse in their childhood. We're working, the general numbers are, the worst I've seen from someone who's been a professional in the field was she figured 60% of females through 18 had some sort of traumatic sexual experience by the time they were 18.
Yep, I believe it.
And,
That's been my
men,
experience too.
yeah, men she figured 30 or 40%. So shame that you have to assume that someone you're working with has a high probability, which means that you want to be very careful to be averse about doing anything that indicates power move. You don't stand over them. I saw a demonstration of Psyche by the founder, and he had them sitting, and he was standing over them. That's, oh shit. You don't tell them what to do. You can suggest that this is what they do next. When you are ready, you need to be really sensitive. One thing I've noticed with a lot of my female, I won't say a lot, but some female clients, is if they tend to sit and they have their hands clasped over their crotch most of the time, that's a pretty certain indicator.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not sure and you think it might be really wise, particularly if you have a male female, but now there's so much gender bending that you have to be careful. Period. You can always ask without, if you think they know, but it's happened, but they don't know. You can ask this way. You ask, rape, molested, and test. You just explain that you want to ask a question and it doesn't need any words. I have clients who've been healed. I am 90% certain that they were molested or raped when they were young. They have no idea. They have a wonderful life now. I fiercely disagree with those who say, you've got to remember, you've got to relive it, you've got to confront whoever did it. Bullshit. Never. David Myers, one of the people in PA who helped me get well, was also angry about those who specialized in women who'd been molested or raped. He says the last thing you want them to do is go confront the accuser, because the accuser has all these years to figure out how to make them feel it was all their fault. Just heal them, give them a life.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's necessary at all.
So
At all.
we're looking now at what numbers. So comma residual, we know it's over 500,000. Is it over 600,000? Over 700,000? Is it over 750? Is it over 725? Yes, 730, 735. So trauma residual, and they take their copy and they write this down, 735,000. Okay, none. Is Phyllis, is she over 600,000? Over 550? Yes. Over 575? No. At 570? Is she at 575? No. 570, 570,000 for none. Anxious. Is Phyllis over 600,000, over 700,000, over 800,000, over 900, over 850, at 850, 850,000. Now, as you become more comfortable with this, and I'm while I'm speaking to you, I know you have a lot of these things. I'm also speaking to anyone who might ultimately be watching. You're going to be able to just often sense what to do next, or you're working with a client and all of a sudden a set of words comes in out of nowhere, and so you test that, and that's where you're supposed to go next. But that comes automatically once the person is no longer having to think about every stage. But they'll be just as good. Well, maybe not quite just as good, but they'll be effective just working through the process that we developed. Okay, unhappy. It's also over 700,000, over 600,000, yes, over 650, over 625, 630, 635, 640, 640,000. Successful, big issue, over 700,000, over 800, over 900,000, over 925 at 925, 920, 915, 915,000. Guilty is now just a straight thought. I don't keep track of people's religions, but I'm willing to bet that a whole bunch who are Catholic, this is a very Catholic area, are probably carrying a lot of guilty. So guilty is those over 700,000, over 600, over 500,000, over 550, at 550, over 525, yes, 530, 535, 540, so 540,000.
Yeah, Catholics and Jews.
I haven't had any Jewish clients that I know of.
Yeah, Catholics
So-
and Jews.
I did have 2 clients out of 3 in 1 month, all of whom had something new to me. If I have money, they'll kill me.
I'm sorry, what?
If I have money, they'll kill me. Was the
Oh,
belief.
yeah.
And it turned out that the two Jewish clients were descendants of Russian emigres. They had fled the shtetls during the time when the Cossacks were raiding the shtetls, looking for the wealthy families, slaughtering the families, taking all the goods.
Yep.
Now, those emigres are several generations back, but my clients still were carrying that family scripting.
Yep. I ran into a lot of that. I do a lot of epigenetic stuff, a lot. It's crazy how much.
Okay, I still think of it in terms of the PA concept of family scripts or software scripting, but same thing.
Same
Different-
stuff. People carry generational stuff.
Yes.
Comes through all the
Oh,
time.
yeah. Oh,
All
yeah.
the time. Yeah.
And the other of the 3 that occurred all the same month, his family had been landed gentry in Ireland before the British seized the land.
Mhm.
They were tossed out their estate, and they knew if they objected in any way, they could be killed or jailed or any sorts of things. So all of them fled to this country. All of them carried with them. And in this particular client, I know what happened because he worked with me for a month. I'm sorry, for about a year. Took off over the holidays and never came back. But called me the next March. He said, "I want to tell you what this did for me." The year he was an entrepreneur and had not been doing it. The year before I started work with you, I made $400 taxable income. The year I worked with you, I made 17,000 taxable income. The first 3 months of this year, after we worked, I've already made 85,000. I'm going to do a minimum of $250,000 this year.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we are done with this now. And now, and we're going to come back to it at the end of the session, is what I tell the clients, and we'll see how things have changed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a few healing sessions. And I explained to them that in a normal session, we'll do usually 6 to 12, and I've actually had as many as 18 specific healings done in one session. I normally allow an hour, and I tell people the usual session before the subconscious says, "I've had enough, thank you very much, now let me adjust," is 45, 55 minutes, but I don't guarantee that. We work until the subconscious or until we run out of time at the end of the hour with whatever closing we need to do.
Mhm. Right.
So first thing I do is, so I can keep track of things, I put my client's name at the top of the 7 healing zones. Nice thing, it's erasable. So as we're working on something, I don't have to try to remember what the client is or call him by the name of the client who was here before. Now,
Yeah.
there are a couple of times, just recently, I was working with a client who was having a really rough time. Healer in her own right. And I found myself keep wanting to call her a name that had nothing to do with her. And after the third time, I said, okay, why am I constantly wanting to call you by this other name? And, you know, have you been working with someone? Yeah, she had done some intense work with someone 2 days ago. She was carrying some of that work with her. And she was still co-surrogating, even though she wasn't aware of that.
Interesting.
So once we desurrogated, she was feeling fine. Those things to be aware of.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, we're going to calibrate. Say, my name is Phyllis.
My name is Phyllis. My
Okay.
name is Sally.
Okay. Now, often I will use a different sex name just to make more clear. So I might have told her as a beginner, she wouldn't know. I say, okay, say your name. Now say my name is Ralph, or something to that effect. Okay. So is there something here that we can do for Phyllis today that will be to her highest and best good? The answer is yes. And where is it now? You know, this is where we're going to be using the 7 hearing zones. Is the priority? We're looking for the priority. Is the priority healing in zone 1, zone 2, zone 3? So zone 3, which line? And the next time I'm going to ask you to tell me which is which. So ask questions as we go along. So zone 3, is it in line 1? Yes. Okay. Is it in the foundation section? No. Is it in the core section? Yes. So I'm going to circle that. And I'll show it to you so you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So now we're going to go to the big resource book. Excuse me. Now this resource book will have something for every section that needs something. Zone 2, so y'all don't panic. There's nothing for trapped emotions or emotional release because there's no word. It's just a process.
Right.
In this case, what we're looking for is the foundation section. And the way we sent this to you, if you kept it, it's the way I work with things. Most of it's alphabet, but not the ones that are most commonly used. They're at the front. But some people just go straight to alpha, and that's fine. It's what you'll find your own path as you go through it. So we're looking for the core section. Now, the book itself has rough count about 3,500, maybe 4,000 sets of yin-yang statements. And just to be clear, when you're looking at a page, the bold are the statements that need to be in your software. The unbold are the toxic statements. If they exist, we got to get rid of them.
Okay.
It is possible to have both the bold and the unbold at the same time for a particular statement. We call that being double. And it means that you're positive and you're toxic.
I call it a dual belief.
Okay.
Call it a dual belief. Yeah.
And I refer it to the old Microsoft blue screen of death. You have 2 diametrically opposing instructions for the same spot in the software.
Yeah.
And I will often say to the client, if it's a particularly obvious thing, that you may experience it as sometimes for the same situation or same stimulus, sometimes you respond this way, sometimes you respond this way. And you might feel like you're really unstable or crazy because, and what it is it depends on which belief is in the fore at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the toxic beliefs. So you have the stable belief, the positive belief that is life affirming and helps you get on in life. So what we're going to do now, the client may wonder, how the hell am I going to know? Or how do you know? You're asking my subconscious, how does it know about this? Well, depending on the client's belief, you can say, well, you're tied to divine knowledge or tied to your subconscious is tied to universal knowledge. And I'll go a little farther and say, I wrote this, but every time I change it, the edit changes. I have no idea what's on every page other than I've been working on this page with somebody else. So you will find, and speaking to a potential practitioner, you will find yourself going to a page and pointing out something that you didn't know was on that page. And I finally say, oh my God, yes, that's really been bugging me lately, or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a wonderful affirmation to them that this works and that they are in fact contributing to this. It will not take too long with a regular client. Well, they'll be coming in and saying, I've been thinking about this week. I think you ought to take a look at it, whether it's a belief statement or a particular issue that's bugging them. So I tend to open each session once after the first one or two. So anything on your mind, any idea, any direction you want to go. Now the subconscious itself will often enough take you in a direction if you haven't, if they aren't. I remember one client, I don't know, with LIIFT, we never need to know what happened. She's never talked about what happened in her childhood, but based on the sorts of healings we've done, it can't have been very good. What she's openly admitted is she hides from the spotlight. If there's a meeting at work, she sits in the back, she never contributes, she doesn't want to be noticed. Well, one session, if you go down to line 2 on my 7 healing zones in zone 3, the last one is leadership. Somewhere in there is leadership. We found ourselves spending virtually the whole time doing leadership release. And we were both sort of chuckling because we knew damn well she wasn't a leader. Didn't make any sense to us, but we were following what the subconscious was leading. So things like, it's right, safe, okay for me to be a leader. I have the personal power to, I don't remember what they all were, but it was just crazy. Well, she comes in for her next session a couple weeks later, and she says, they had a staff meeting yesterday, and I found myself volunteering to set up a new committee. And the next time she came in, she said, last week I went and bought some more clothes for work, and my normal palette is brown and gray and black. And when I got to the checkout, I found I had chosen these most outrageously, wonderfully colored skirts and blouses and some beautiful scarves. Now, I've not told her this because it's not my business to, but it is my hunch that this changing of these pieces of software are preparing her for some fairly major visible work. Could be a politician, as a politician, public figure. I don't know. I'll be curious to see. But this is one of the fun things, is when you and they both are led someplace that you don't expect, and then they have an aha moment. Okay, so now we're going to ask Phyllis which page and then which statement is the priority for her. So I'm looking at course structure, page 3 right now. Is the priority for Phyllis on page 3? No. Page 4? Yes. Okay, now I'm going to section out the page. So go to page 4 in course structure.
I got it.
Okay. So is it one of the first 3 here? Yes. Okay. Is it the first one? Yes. Okay. So Phyllis, if you will say the positive words there, please.
I thrive when facing life's challenges.
Okay. And she says sweet.
Okay.
Okay. So then we explain, okay, so your subconscious is saying this is false, it does not exist in the software. Now let's check the toxic statements. Please say the first toxic statement.
Okay. I retreat when facing life's challenges.
Regarded as true. And by the way, something that I find interesting, often I or my client or both of us end up yawning as we do this. And one of my practitioners argues that shows that the brain is working overtime and needs extra oxygen. Okay, so she tests that that's true in her software. Try the next one.
I flee life's challenges.
Also regarded as true.
I'm terrified to face life's challenges.
Not regarded as true.
I collapse in the face of life's challenges.
Nope, that's false.
I keep hoping life's challenges will go away.
Regarded as true. I'm powerless.
I am too powerless to face life's challenges.
Regarded as true. So we have a whole bunch of toxics. We need to get rid of them and install the positive.
I don't have that last one about I'm too powerless.
That's a handwritten edit.
Okay, so that's in the new one?
No, it isn't in yet. But ideally, by the time we're ready to start the...
You can write it in. Right?
Yeah, you can write it in.
So it's I'm too powerless?
I'm too powerless to face life's challenges. And ultimately, you'll get an updated version of this. But without handwriting.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so
Thank you.
the next step is I'm going to go ahead and do the in-depth since this is training. Next step is to find out which parts of Phyllis need to be healed for this.
Okay,
And an important item here is whatever the toxics are, we do not, LIIFT does not cast dispersions. It does not blame. Our belief as transactional analysis, as my Quakerism, as is, we come into the world innocent, and it's our experiences in womb in the first 10 years that claw away that innocence, claw away hey world, I'm okay, you're okay, the world's okay, hey, we're gonna have fun together, to oh, or I'm undeserving, or whatever.
mhm,
And we believe that every person, no matter how flawed their response, is doing the best they can. And so, no matter, a truly failed, even an abusive parent, they were doing the best they could. Now, we're taking care of the client, not them. What we do know, though, is as the client is healing, it goes down the line often to the mother or father at the least, even if we're not doing the birth and family ancestors. It also goes up the line to the kids.
yep, that's correct.
I actually had a situation where mom and daughter were here together, and the daughter tested for I expect the worst to happen. And I said, let me test your mom. I expect the worst to happen. Let's do an experiment. I'm just going to have your mom heal for this. So I healed the mom for I expect the best to happen, and it usually does. Then I had the daughter say that I expect the best to happen, and it usually does. Whereas she tested weak before.
Mhm,
So a parent who has troubled kids, we can explain that what they're healing for themselves will help their kids, even if kids don't know.
oh,
Now,
yeah,
we will move, in future sessions, I'll teach about doing long distance healing for whole family units or for troubled kids. The one thing I'll say here is if you have a troubled kid under 10 and you do long distance, which is the only way I recommend it unless the kid has asked for help. Often in one session, they'll do 180 to return. Adults, it takes much longer, but they have so much more damage. Okay,
Right.
so which parts of Phyllis need to heal for this? Phyllis herself, yes. And I'm marking it off with my handy little erasable pen. For little ones, yes. Birth and family, no. Soul ancestors, no. Attachments, spirits, entities, others are unnamed. So we have two that we need to heal. Phyllis's little ones and the self. So now we're going to do the safety protocol. You'll always do the safety protocol every step of the way because you don't want to miss a step. If something else needs to happen first, you don't want to do something in error. So for the little ones, it's a double safety protocol. We make sure it's safe for her to do it on behalf of the little ones. We make sure that it's safe for the little ones to have her do it for them today at this moment. Okay, so safe and appropriate for Phyllis to heal on behalf of the little ones. Yes, she's ready, willing, and able. These words are in your training manual. She's ready, willing, and able. Yes. Safe and appropriate for Phyllis to heal on behalf of the little ones. And I will say sometimes speak and heal on behalf of the little ones. And yes, and they're ready, willing, and able to have her speak on their behalf and heal with them. Okay, now we're ready to go. So now we're going to find out how do we need to do it. If you look at the bottom of your sheet here, is a condensed list of all of them. There's 6 that are common, and you'll hear me use, well, 7 now. There's one I've just added. So we're just going to run through. And there's subconscious, again, tied to universal knowledge. I don't need to explain which the 6 are. It's just going to answer yes or no. So which is the appropriate healing process? Is it 4-quadrant, 2-quadrant, self-hug, self-hug? Okay. Is it a right over left self-hug? Yes. Okay. Is there any kind of movement? Yes. Finger tap, simultaneous finger tap. So what she's going to do, go ahead and do it,
How
Phyllis.
many times?
Oh, we haven't got there yet.
Oh, okay.
So
So
right over left, and you're going to be doing finger taps. Okay. So that's how far. Now we need to find out how many times she needs to say the positive word. So how many times? 3, 6, 9, 12, 24. I had one person with 48, one of my practitioners had someone with 96. So how many times does she need to say the positive words? And bear in mind, these are the positive words. 3 times, 6 times, 12 times. 12 times out loud only? No. 12 times out loud and 12 times silent? Yes. That's a lot. Usual is 3 or 6. 6 is the most common. So, safe and appropriate, it's confirming right over left self hug, simultaneous finger taps. She's saying it 12 times out loud and 12 times silent. Would you like me to count?
Okay.
Okay. So when you say it out loud, I'll just count. When you're saying it silent, your eyes need to be closed. Just say done at the end of each one so I can count.
Done at the end of each one.
Statement. So
Oh.
your eyes are closed. You're saying it silent the second time around.
I got you.
I thrive when facing life's challenges.
Okay.
Done. I don't hear the rest. So away you go.
Okay, I thrive when facing life's challenges. 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 I thrive when facing life's challenges.
2 more.
I thrive when facing life's challenges. I thrive when facing life's challenges.
Okay, now silent.
Done.
1s, 10s. So you know how I'm counting.
Done. 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 Done.
2 more.
Done. Done.
Okay, whenever you're ready. Okay, now you show them how to blow. So actually, why do you say the words this time? Instead of-
Okay. I thrive when facing life's challenges.
Now breathe it in. And then bring your arms out and capture the chi and bring it into your chest.
I thrive when facing life's
Okay, and bring it in. Yeah. Now, my sister, who does Chinese shamanship, says when you bring your palms together like this after the swoop, you're amplifying the amount of chi coming into your body. Okay, I'll do it 2 more times.
I thrive when facing life's challenges.
And 1 more time. Now, she blew the last time, which is acceptable. There'll be times when it feels right to blow, times when it feels right to have them say the words. Now,
How many times do you do the blowing thing?
3 or 4.
3
But
or, so it's
if
always
they
3.
feel like doing more, they can do more. There's no rigidity. Now, with the mic set here, can you hear her clearly enough?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a new mic and it's going to be wonderfully sensitive.
I thrive when facing life's challenges.
Okay. This healing is complete. Yes. Oh, hold on. This healing is complete. That's right. She's here, so I don't have it. Okay. So now she tested positive for the correct one. Now let's check the toxics. Please say the first toxic.
Okay, I retreat when facing life's challenges.
That's gone.
I flee life's challenges.
That's gone.
I'm terrified to face life's challenges.
I don't think that
Okay,
ever
I
was.
collapse in the face of life's challenges.
No.
I keep hoping life's challenges will go away.
No.
I am too powerless to face life's challenges.
No.
Okay,
They're all gone. Say
I
the toxic.
thrive when facing life's challenges.
And 1 more time.
I thrive when facing life's challenges.
Okay. So after you've checked them all out, you always want to make sure that you get that positive set at least twice. Because what you're doing is you're putting it in the software and you don't want anything interfering. Now that we've got this done, she is going to write it up. This is the way that we have it, depending on how you want to say it, set in concrete in the software or glued into the software.
Okay.
And by writing it, you're using muscle memory, you're using visual memory, and you're using audio memory all at the same time, which is the glue.
Okay.
And I also suggest and encourage them to write which piece of themselves they just healed. You just did the little ones. And I encourage them then to take it home, or if they're at home, to set it in a file. Because what I find is often some months down the road, they'll just go through the file and look at the things they changed. And the next time we meet, they talk about how they can really see the change because of these things. So it's really affirming. There's actually a movement now in psychotherapy to let the clients read the psychotherapist's notes. They're finding that the client feels really reaffirmed when they're reading what the psychotherapist is seeing them change. And I do something similar. First of all, they've got the notes, but second of all, I will from time to time comment on some change I'm seeing in them. And sometimes a partner will do the same. And particularly if at some point they're not feeling so sure of themselves, or their perception hasn't caught up with the reality of the change yet, I'll say, well, let me tell you what I see about you. And similarly, I share of my own life, I share excitement with them. Ideally, you're informal enough so you can have some good laughter too. This is not traditional therapy where the therapist has to be apart. You can have a relationship. You can talk about your own experiences. I'm not saying that you need to be emotionally involved. I don't recommend that, but you can be friends. You can share. Emotionally involved puts you at risk of the triangle.
Yeah.
But there's not the risk of projection that you encounter when you're doing therapy.
Yeah.
Because they're not pouring their heart out. They're not having someone who is their bosom buddy listening to them. We're going through the process, but in the process, they may tell me things. That's fine. It's still confidential. We are required reporters if we, are perceiving abuse of any sort. You got to do that. And in some cases, in most, in transactional analysis, they increase the development of the ego state parent adult child, which we'll deal with later. In general, we, the practitioners, stay out of their lives. If they've got a problem, one of the nice responses, well, what are you thinking of doing about it? Or if this was a friend of yours with that problem, what would they do? We stay out of it. The exception is when there is danger. I had a client who commented to me that her husband, who had early dementia, was now getting up in the middle of the night, taking his pistol out and prowling around the house looking for the Martians.
Oh, jeez.
And she was sure nothing would happen. And I, at that point, talking in terms of parent, adult, and child, I took over the role of a parent and suggested that there was risk not only to herself, but the neighbors. And so what can we do about it? Well, we worked out a plan where she would, shall we say, absent the revolver from the house. And she would bring it here, and I would see that one of my flock, who was used to having guns and had a gun safe, would take custody of it, so she could genuinely say to her husband that he has, where's my pistol gone? She would say, I don't know. And once he was put in a place that was safe, shall we say, then she came back and retrieved it and took care of keeping it out of harm's way. So there are times when but very seldom. I think that's the only time I've had to be that directive. Our job is to remove the barriers so that people can own their own power and make their own wise decisions. And had this happened later, she would have had that skill set at that point. She did not. Okay, so we just healed this for the little ones. We still have a self to do. Now, you'll notice we started down the ladder, as I call it. Okay, and we work our way up the ladder. It is not uncommon if we're doing 1 or 2 or 3 down the ladder to find the self has already been healed by the time we get there.
Okay.
So as soon as Phyllis comes back, we will heal the self if it's needed. So each step of the way, we check to see.
See if it's still needed, because sometimes things get cleared out, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah. Just, yeah.
Some of the more interesting ones is where we have the self and the soul ancestors, and we end up doing the soul ancestors maybe 12 times or 24 times, which to me says, oh, this is really deep. And then we get to the self and everything's fine.
Yeah.
In which case I'll say sometimes to the client, well, it looks like you came by that belief in your software pretty legitimately.
Oh, yeah. Very often. That is absolutely right. I call them, I may have told you this, I call them fine family traditions.
Oh, I like that.
We have a lot of fun in my sessions, Brian.
That's the way it should be.
I am completely irreverent. It's just like, if I can make something fun, I do.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's just too dreary.
Well, to me, there's an actual purpose. If they catch me making a mistake, which I do, particularly toward the end of the day, I can, yep, you're right. Okay, let's get that straightened out. Big smile, chuckle. We're doing role modeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being irreverent is role model. Having fun is role model. And not blaming is role model. Yeah. Because the chances are they've not seen it. If they're seeing us, they've seen something totally different.
Yeah, I'm sure that's right. I'm sure that's right.
So what we're going to do now is see what's going on with the self. So Phyllis, now speaking for yourself, kindly say the positive words.
Okay, I thrive when facing life's challenges.
You've got that. Now let's check the toxics.
Okay, I retreat when facing life's challenges.
Aha.
I flee life's challenges. I am terrified to face life's challenges. I collapse in the face of life's challenges. I keep hoping life's challenges will go away. I am too powerless to face life's challenges. Okay, right.
And yay is say the positive. Still need to say the positive
I
twice.
thrive when facing life's challenges.
One more
I
time.
thrive when facing life's challenges.
Do we need to reinforce? You always ask this. Do we need to do the homework? Do we need to work the circle? Nope. Yay.
Yay.
So she's going to write it up.
Well done.
And it's not uncommon. Your client will catch on and say, yay.
I do that a lot. I do that a lot.
Life is good. And the more they're used to the idea of having fun, achieving good life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we have just healed this. Is there something else on the stage that is the next priority? Yes. Okay. Is it one of these next 3? Yes. Is it this one? Okay. So it's the second one down. So I use Post-it notes to make sure we can remember where we are. Here, let me show you.
What page are you on?
Page 4, core structure.
Okay.
So, see, I've got the next one down, highlighted by Post-it note.
Good.
Okay, will you say the positive, please?
Okay, I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. Oh boy.
Okay.
I welcome death.
Apparently not.
Yes.
Yeah, now I am.
And she tests positive for I welcome death.
I want to feel only discontent and struggle.
Nope.
I don't care if I live or die.
Yeah.
I live through life as a shadow.
And yes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet you want to change that, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the last one, Brian?
I live through life as a shadow. Again, a new one.
Okay, I live through life as a shadow.
Okay, so we've come this far. Now, what's the next thing we need to do? I'm tossing it to you so that you can use your chart and figure out what's next.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So when I test beliefs, I always state them in the positive. So for example, I would have tested, I don't care if I live or die. I would have tested that as I care if I live or die. And if it was, and then it would have been a negative, a negative
Mhm.
would mean I don't.
Yeah, I've seen that. I worked with a couple of MDs who took training. They had been trained in another way where um, the um, the negative is what they were looking for, and that's just not the way we do it here. If you want to change the words on the fly, you're welcome to. But from our standpoint, is yes means this is something. Yes, in the toxic means it's something we need to take care of.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. It's just that it's the testing. Apparently there's brain science about the brain not really registering negatives, doesn't really get, don't.
I'm aware of that, but it is never, it's not
Yeah.
caused us any problems.
Yeah.
And I usually assume don'ts or nots, but sometimes I have it in. It doesn't seem to make any difference, so I haven't worried about it.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
Okay, so so what's the next thing we need to do? We've identified that this is one that needs to be healed next. So what's the next step? I'm asking.
Oh, sorry. So the next step is you're going to be looking at, hang on, you've got the foundation. So then it's like who is
Yeah.
getting healed.
Exactly.
So then you're going to start and work upward from the bottom.
Well, when we're asking, usually I'll work from the top down, but
Oh, you work from the, okay.
healing.
Oh, the healing you work from the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, and that's just my habit. There's no reason.
Yeah.
So, which pieces of Phyllis need to be healed? Herself. Now, by the way, you can heal animals. However, in this case, we simply have an animal who wants attention. Okay, so who needs to be healed? The self. Yeah, most of this, there's no fix. You got to do it in a particular order. Or if someone is saying the positive and they're changing the words slightly, as long as it's not changing
the sense.
The sense.
Yeah.
It's whatever's working for them. This is an extremely flexible process.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So which pieces need to be healed? Phyllis herself, yes. Little ones, no. Birth and family, clear indication. If you're not sure, say clear indication. And here I wasn't sure. Clear indication, birth and family, yes. Okay. Soul ancestors, no. Attachments, spirits, entities, others and unnamed. Nope. Okay. Now, once you've got the pattern, sometimes you'll go self, little, birth and family, soul, any of the others, when the probably you're saving a little time. But the process itself, you want to maintain the process pretty rote, otherwise, because it's a ritual, and people feel safe with ritual.
Yeah, it's true.
I've had a couple of practitioners who wanted to cut to the chase. Between practitioners, yeah, you can do it because you understand that you're moving as fast as possible. But for your clients, no, keep the regularity of the ritual.
You want the rhythm, yeah.
Yeah, rhythm. That's a good word. Okay, so what we know is we need to heal the self and the birth and family ancestors. So, what are the words for the safety protocol?
So you want to know if everybody's willing.
Yeah.
If they're able, if it's appropriate.
Okay. So let me say that.
Safe, willing, safe, appropriate, ready, willing, able.
Yep. So is it safe and I do it as a double. Is it safe and appropriate for Phyllis to heal on behalf of the birth and family ancestors? Yes. She's ready, willing, and able.
Are the ancestors ready, willing, and able?
Yes. And is it safe and appropriate for them?
Have you ever had the ancestors not be?
Yes.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, how interesting, because usually they're ready to play, but
Usually, the exception has, thinking on the fly, the exceptions have been when there was something we needed to do for them before this one.
uh, excuse me.
Yeah, I don't, the only person I recall trying where there was a flat out rejection was when Phyllis and I decided to, we were at a conference and had some spare time, thought we'd see if we could figure out some person of international import that needed healing. This was during Trump's reign. And we thought of Donald Trump. Because politics aside, you look at the person and you realize what an incredibly hurting person is in that shell. And so we tried to set up the co-certification, safe and appropriate for those that speak on behalf of Donald Trump. She's ready, willing, able, no, safe and appropriate for me to heal on behalf of Donald Trump. Yes, I'm ready, willing, and able. Yes, safe and appropriate for Donald Trump to be healed through us. Yes, he's ready, willing, and able. No.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Interestingly, we did have, I wasn't working with Phil, I forget who I was working with, but we had a moment after he left the office and he actually let us do a couple of healings.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, after he left office, we tried again and we were able to do a couple of healings.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Not that you can see it, but there's so much damage there, even one or two small healings.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an interesting family.
Yeah.
Interesting family.
So we now have approval to do birth and family ancestors. So the next question is,
Are they ready?
What process?
Oh, the process, sorry. I was on the Donald, sorry.
Oh, okay. So remember that there are 7.
The next part is, what are we doing? Yeah, the next part, yeah. What are we doing?
So let me run through the 7 just the way I run it out. 4 quadrant, 2 quadrant, self hug, head tap, temple tap, head hold, magnet. Magnet is brand new. I've only been playing with it for a week, but it seems to fit. I've used it half a dozen times by now. And then there's another 30 or so that, if you run through those 7, then it's oh shit time, because now you have to go through all the rest to figure out what one is needed.
Oh, okay, so you're hoping for a yes on the first 7, essentially.
Yeah.
Got it.
And 95, 99% of the time you're going to get it. Okay, so which is the appropriate healing process for the birth and family ancestors? Is it a 4 quadrant, 2 quadrant, self hug, head tap? No, temple tap. Head hold, their indication here, head hold, head hold. Okay, so she says these words in a head hold. She says how many times, and what are the numbers of times?
You've got 3, 6, 12, 24, 48.
Yes. Okay, so is it 3 times? 6 times? Okay, then there's the question, aloud or silent? Is it out loud, silent, out loud and silent? So 6 times out loud and silent, eyes open for out loud, silent for eyes closed for silent. And she says these words in a head hold. So this is a head hold, and ideally they have something to rest that you want to say. The way I liken it is to the grandmother who comes to visit and sees the little kid and says, "Oh, aren't you cute?" So a caring thing. So 6 times out loud, please.
Okay. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and
One more.
I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am.
Okay, now silent, eyes closed, and say done. And like, yeah, and you can peek if you need to. One more. Okay. Go ahead and say the words.
I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am.
And again.
I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive.
Okay, this healing is complete. Go ahead and say the positive.
I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive.
Okay.
I welcome death. Oh, I want to feel only discontent and struggle. I don't care if I live or die. I live through life as a shadow.
Nope.
Okay, I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am.
Do we need to reinforce? Need to do homework? Need to work the circle? Yay! Go ahead and light it up.
Okay. And this is for
Fantastic.
the-
This was for your birth and family ancestors.
So now you're going to chest for the self, right?
Mhm.
That's what comes next, and hopefully it's gone.
Yes.
Okay. We shall.
Doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, there's that little thing that you pull and then the whole thing comes tumbling down.
Yeah. There's. I say sometimes it's like working on an arch, and you need that capstone, and then a whole bunch of other beliefs just fall into place proper instead of toxic.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No.
Now we may get interrupted because we got a late start. There's someone supposed to show up sometime between 8 and 9 to look at our porch for getting married, in which case we'll break and come back. Okay, so now I want you to say it for yourself.
Okay, I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am.
That's by the toxics.
I welcome death. Okay, I want to feel only discontent and struggle. I don't care if I live or die. I live through life as a shadow.
Nope.
Okay, I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive, and I am. I choose to be vibrantly and joyously alive.
Yay. Okay.
For this song.
Excellent. We got a twofer.
Yes.
I love it. We got a twofer.
Okay, so have you got a sense of the flow?
Yes.
Okay. Well enough that you think you can go ahead and try some yourself?
Yeah, I think I am.
And
Yeah.
remember, I'm always available by phone. I remember one gal who, actually your friend, whom I won't name, who made the connection with us. You know, after the first session, she jumped right in and was doing it with her clients, and she'd call me sometimes 8 in the morning and say, I just had this happen with this client. What do I do?
That sounds
Absolutely fearless.
that sounds like her. Yeah, she's funny. Yeah, I need to talk to her again.
Okay, so we're not going to do any more of this now.
Okay,
I think we're done with you.
okay,
Thanks to Phyllis.
okay.
Thank you.
Is there any kind of protocol for closing out? Or are we done? Or when should we do?
Okay,
what
now,
next?
if this were a full session, we'd be working until, what do we do next? And it takes us down the whole thing with nothing. Okay, so the subconscious had all that it can do. How soon, what's the soonest that we can come back and do some more? When will the subconscious be ready? 1 to 4 days, 5 through 7 days, 8 through 14 days. Usually it works out to 7 days or 14 or 21. If someone's done some massive work, I've had as much as 6 weeks, but usually 7 or 14 days. If they're really ready, then 1 to 4 days, and, which means that some part of them decided they're going to trot.
They're going for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have a good evening, Liz.
Thank you, Phyllis, and thanks for playing.
Okay, you're welcome. Glad to help.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, love.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is the assignment is I'd like you to practice on some people, specifically using zone 3.
Oh yeah, zone 3. Okay.
Okay, now I want to do a brief introduction to you of some of the other zones just for your head knowledge,
So why zone 3?
because we've been practicing in zone 3. So that's what you see.
Okay.
The others are different. For instance, zone 2 does not use words. The specific thing is to take unresolved, unreleased emotions and get rid of them. So that's a different process.
Okay. All right.
I want to keep it real simple for your initial practicing.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
What did you say about magnets?
There are the newest to the common. I've only been doing them for about a week and a half.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's basically the same thing that emotion code does, like this.
Okay. 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 Yeah, because yeah, sometimes I use emotion code and I teach my clients how to do it so they can do it on themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't need me, you know.
Right. Yeah. If an old emotion pops up, just get that magnet.
Yeah.
For us, the same thing, 3, 6, 12, 24 times.
Oh, okay. 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 Because in emotion code, they're like what I do is I have them do 4 deep breaths to integrate. If it's theirs, I do 3 times with the magnet, 4 deep breaths to integrate. If it belongs to somebody else, I do 10 times with the magnet and 6 deep breaths to integrate. That's what I've been doing, and it seems to work.
And I just asked 3, 6, 12, and of course with this, as with emotions, you've seen with the belief where they say it and breathe it in. With emotions or other things, and sometimes even with the words, you blow the changed energy out, and then you breathe it back in, and then you do the whole chi gathering. Same 3 or 4 times.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, any questions so far?
No, this is this is interesting. I mean, it's just interesting. I like being able to just kind of intuit where it is, you know, and do that little triage thing, you know, titrate.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let me quickly walk you through all 7 of the common. So there's the 4 quadrant, which is, I can't show you, but you cross your ankles one way or the other, you cross your wrists one way or the other, and you can go up here in your lap on the table.
Right, okay.
2 quadrant is either the ankles crossed or the wrists crossed.
Okay.
Okay. The self-hug, right over left, left over right, whichever is indicated is on the outside. And it may be with finger tap simultaneous, alternating. It can also be pivoting slowly side to side, using your back as the axle, or rocking like a baby.
Okay.
And the times it's been rocking like a baby, it felt like they were soothing one of the parts of themselves that needed soothing. Okay, there's head tap, simultaneous, alternating. Temple tap, simultaneous, alternating. Head hold, and this has a magnet in it, so you can get these at Dollar General or General Dollar, I forget which, but you get 3 erasable markers with the eraser attached for $1, and it's got a magnet, so you can do the magnet.
It's got a oh my gosh, of course it does. Okay.
Let's see if this is steel.
Okay,
But
very
that's
cool.
not steel.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, I see. Yeah, the magnet swipe. Okay, got it.
Yeah, as I said, that's only been in for about 10 days.
Okay. Hot off the press.
Hot off the press, absolutely. And when they're saying the words, it's aloud or silent. So how many times aloud or silent, or aloud and silent?
Okay.
And you can see that down in that square. And then the bottom square, so what do we do next? You know, first you have them write it, and then you need to know, do they need to reinforce it, almost never happens. That's where you do another healing right now. Do they need to do homework? That's what they just did. Again, how many days and how many times a day? Again, not counting.
Okay,
And don't worry about work the circle. We'll catch that sometime when we hit it.
okay. Okay, working this sort of reminds me of one of the things I do with people when I check for oaths, vows, contracts, pacts, agreements, entanglements, allegiances, curses, covenants, fealties, et cetera, et cetera. I check for all of those to see
Okay.
if any of those,
Zone 1, past commitments.
and then I release them.
Yep. Let
Yeah.
me give you a sample of a zone 1 past commitment, because we have about half a dozen different ones. Let's find it here. Okay, past commitments. Here's a okay. Here's a sample one. I now revoke and reject any and all past commitments to suffering, loneliness, and dying I may have made in any lifetime, any place, any time, any universe. And I instead now embrace a life filled with the fullness of happiness, joy, love, fulfillment, contentment, and abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a longer one where I choose to break, destroy, and cancel any and all spiritual and other contacts between myself and all people and entities from my current and past relationships, all of my family, departed relatives and ancestors, co-workers, neighbors, and strangers, gurus, teachers, religious leaders, organizations, groups, and the dark entities and dark forces of the universe from the point of creation to this moment in time and into the future, which are no longer serving our mutual highest good and welfare without delay, and so be it.
Is that in this book somewhere that I
Yep,
missed?
it's in the past commitments in zone 1.
Okay, all right, but we're not doing zone run right now. We're doing,
You could actually do those, do those in starting point, because they use the same process as zone 3. But to me, that adds complexity. Just stick with zone 3. Don't worry about the rest.
okay, all right. Got to start somewhere. 3 is a good number.
Yeah, it is. So try it out. Call me with questions.
Okay, all right. Well,
Or with successes, and we'll see you next Thursday. And
oh my
for
God.
people who don't have practice yet, I say just create a little note, and I'm working on one that'll come out with this, but it's not ready. Something like I need some guinea pigs. I'm working on a type of emotional healing, and I need to practice on some people. If you'd like some free healing, give me a call.
Yeah.
Community bulletin boards, and that can begin the process of publicizing you for when you're ready to start charging clients.